Hello everyone and welcome to Bevan's Bricks. Setting a few more things up. Bear with me. I think I got it all set up. What we're working on tonight is I am trying to get some more work done on the Flatiron Building. And part of that, and hey Tigrone, how you doing? Is in order for me to get the footing, the first floor, square, strong is what I guess I should be saying, is I wanted to put in a few support walls, which is what you can see here. And with me doing those support walls, because I'm very limited as to where I can put them because they have to match up and they have to be able to come across, I have two locations that I picked that are going to be in the center of the building, and that's going to help hold this piece square, number one. Number two, it's going to keep it from popping out when I start setting on the top floors, because this building, when finished, is going to be roughly 5 to 6 feet in height. So it's going to be a very large building and there's going to be a lot of weight above it. So I'm trying to figure out unique ways to strengthen it as much as possible. And that's why you probably can't see it with the camera that well, but I have two shadow boxes here. I have one built in on that window, so I could attach these inner walls to those shadow boxes. And what I'm going to do is the initial corridor inside of the building is actually, it's just like an entryway to go through it so you can get to the elevators, so you can go to the upper floors. And then this front half, I had some people sending me pictures. This front half is a teen mobile store. And I'm debating on, I'm still going to make it a mobile phone store. I'm just not sure what company to go with. And then this back half was like a furniture type store type of thing. So I'm going to be trying to tile in the floors and then put in some detail work on the inside of these, because I do fully intend on illuminating this, and I want those areas to be as visible as possible. I'm sorry, I had a notification on my thing. Anyway, though, hey, how you doing? Michael Fuji, Steve Weiser, Blinky Bricks, Wayne Sherman, Tigrone, G-Bop, Kenneth Swan, hey, how you doing? Beetle Jazz, how you doing, my friend? And I am doing great, and hello, everyone, to the Funny Farm. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm doing tonight, is I'm just kind of working on that. So as you can see here, I'm going to try and disconnect this a little bit. And Brett Tucker, thank you so much, and happy Friday to you as well. Brett just donated $20. So thank you, Brett. That was very, very kind of you. But I just wanted to kind of show you what I'm talking about as far as these will both be finished off and tiled floors for display windows, and then I will have lights that go inside of them. And then as you can see by me flipping it back here, this is where that wall will get attached, and this wall gets attached also. I'm going to set this aside for a few minutes. But these two locations is where it's physically going to get attached. So that way this straight wall is going to be holding this sloped wall in position, which is what I'm trying to help show you guys. And Banda, hey, how are you? I just wanted to, I didn't realize that was moved. There we go. Brett Tucker is in the house. But like I said, I'm hoping that kind of gives you an idea of what I'm looking at doing, because you see how it's flimsy. But once I get that all physically attached and I push it down, that's going to make this exterior, because the exterior wall itself, by itself, is good and strong. It's just until it's physically attached somehow, it's flimsy. And that's, but for right now, I got to kind of leave it detached because I have to be able to pull it on and off, because I got to try and figure out how I'm going to tile in the floors. And just so you understand, it's just this half of the wall that'll physically be attached. This portion of the wall back in here is going to be floating on top of tiles. So that's another important reason for that to be pulled back in tight. Anyway, what I got to do is pull this out, and I've already made a few little things. Like here is one of the stands that I made, and that is for cell phones. And then I have some counters that I'm going to put inside of it with little computers and stuff on it for people to check things out and see how things are going. Banda says, I'm doing good. Nice to see you, my friend, and it's so nice to see you as well, Banda. I'm glad to see you on a stream. But anyway, this half of the wall, something else I can explain, is 2 tiles taller. It's 2 tiles taller, or 2 plates, excuse me, taller, and it's because I've already accounted for, I like to make sure my windows are visible, so I always put a plate before I tile for that. But the other reason is I added another plate just so when I tile, that'll keep it nice and kind of level and evened out as well. And then this side's only got one plate, and it's because it's going to be sitting on the tile. I hope that makes sense. Fox Leader says, here I am, and fun fact time, the Empire State Building was once hit by a B-52. And yes, it was. In total, 14 people were killed, yet no one talks about that. And you are absolutely right. If I remember correctly, Fox Leader, to give a little bit more history on that, the B-52 hitting the Empire State Building in 1945, that happened during an extremely foggy condition. The pilot was actually told to land. He refused to land where he was initially told to land because he said he could make it through New York. And sadly, as he was flying through New York, he ended up hitting the building because he couldn't negotiate away from the building quick enough. But that is how that happened, is my understanding of that. And hello, Brick Sergeant, how are you? So glad to see you, buddy. Let me get some tiles now. And we want, that's black. We don't want black. We're gonna do white in here, I think. So, and thank you so much. Hey, you, Brick Sergeant just donated $2. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate that. Trying to, I think what I'm gonna do is this front portion, I'm gonna tile in white. And hey, Christopher Carey, how are you, my friend? The reason I say white is because typically a lot of the cell phone stores are really bright. I mean, they could be gray too, but I'm just thinking white would be a better color. And I'm trying to decide if I want to use up, because I have tons, and I mean tons, of 1x1 white tiles, or 2x2, sorry. And I'm trying to decide if I want to use those to tile the floor, or if I want to use, because I'm getting kind of low on my 2x2s. You know what, let's go 1x1s is going to give me a little bit more ease of use, I think. So we're going to use the 1x2s. I keep saying 1x1. We're going to use the 1x2s to tile the floor, is what I think I'm going to do. Absolutely, every place definitely does have its own story, Banda. And then Kenneth Swan says, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, everyone. And thank you so much, Kenneth Swan. Well, it's like even this building, because with anything that I do, I always like to look into the history of stuff as I'm doing it. And something I thought was very interesting about this particular building, the Flatiron Building, if I remember correctly, construction was completed in 1902. And the person that originally constructed it, this was the first building in New York City to use steel I-beam construction. At least that is my understanding of it anyway. But the original person that commissioned this to be constructed only owned it for it was like roughly 10 years. And then another person bought the building. And when they bought the building, I am trying to figure out where I want to put this counter here. When they bought the building, the building was originally 20 stories tall, and when they bought it, they went ahead and added, is that going to work there? Yeah, I think that'll work there. They went ahead and added 2 more floors, so now the building is actually 22 stories in height. And you'd never know that any floors were added to this building, quite simply because you can't see them. And what I mean by that is where the buildings were added, it's inside of the upper structure. So when you're looking at the building from the ground, all you see is, for the top of the building, it looks like a railing and there's some people on the front of it and so on. But when you look up at the building, you can't see that on the inside of this triangle, there's actually 2 more floors. So I thought that was kind of a neat little factoid too. And hey, Eric Claxton, how are you, my friend? He says, make sure you hit that like button. And he has been a gold member now for 14 months. That is freaking awesome, dude. And thank you so much. Fox Leader was saying that he just learned that little factoid while watching Modern Marvels today. His fun Fridays are nothing but learning on Friday. That's awesome, man. And that is always fun to learn new things, because that keeps us on our toes. And I am trying to figure out, because I don't have, I'm trying to think of what I want to do before I start using all these tiles. Bear with me. So I'm trying to think of a pattern I could come up with where I don't know. Let me see how many 1x1s I have. I don't want to have to use a ton of 1x1s to fill in. If I have them, I don't mind. Oh, I got plenty of them. So actually, we're good. So I can do that. Okay. That is good news. So I have plenty of 1x1 tiles. So we are going to go ahead and go through with doing the 1x2s. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one of these doors or windows a door. And let me get, I think if I do that, I almost wonder, keep in mind I am trying to figure out a unique tiled floor. Hello Jesse Duba, I am working on my Flatiron Building. That's how we'll do that. That'll go that way. There we go. Because then, that I like. So now I can take like a jumper. Nope, we're going to want that to come forward a little more, so we're going to put a tile there. So that's going to go here. Oops. I think that'll work. So we can put this here. That'll go there, that'll go there. R. Claxton, Paul Rat. Thank you so much, R. Claxton. He just donated $10 and he is calling the Paul Rat. That is Master Chief, for those of you that do not know who we are talking about. There, that'll give it a really interesting look. And then I can put this one here. Put a tile there. I think I messed up the corner, but we're not going to worry about it. I need some more jumpers, because we're going to keep this pattern going. And then I also have to figure out somewhere in here, I want this, and I had another one. I want these two things somewhere inside of the store. Just build it. Hello, hello. And this is going to be the tedious and painful part about doing this, is I have to constantly bring this back up and over so I can get an idea of where I want to tile and how I want to tile. And let's get some of these. Mitch Oakham, how you doing? Or Oaken says hello. Hello, Daryl and Lego folks. And we're going to put that one there. We'll do this one here. I always like to make sure, because some people may be wondering, and what it is I'm doing is I always like to make sure that I have some jumpers in various locations. Over here, and the reason I like to have jumpers in various locations is so I can place minifigs throughout my builds, and I don't know where I'm going to be placing the minifigs, so I just start randomly putting stuff where I think they might be useful. And we'll put that there. That'll go there. Give me 1 second and I will pull this wall back off so you guys can get a better idea of what, where, when, and how, and why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I got to make sure I don't put jumpers underneath where the wall will be, because then it'll hold the wall up, and we don't want that to happen. And that'll go there. Okay, that gives me a starting point, so now I'm going to set this back down and start tiling in more of the space. And like I said, it's a lot of back and forth with doing all this while we're trying to get our little pattern going. Let's get these. And these are going to go here. And I'm trying to figure out kind of where I want this tables to go as well. And we can put another jumper plate there. Yes, yes, and yes. I'm thinking we're going to put our first table here. So what we're going to do is we're going to plate that like that. Put this here. That would be there, that would be there. So I want to make sure I tile it in correctly. And doing these little patterns can be a real pain in the butt. Because you can get off kilter rather quickly. We're going to put that one there, that there. And I think that's going to hold that. I will come back to the comments momentarily. There we go. So now we can put one table right here. So now we got that table and we got a display table. Bonda says, you should hear what is going on in our Lego downstairs. Beetle Jazz says, I just watched your video on putting train tracks on plates. Very helpful, and thanks. And thank you so much for watching, my friend. Art Claxton talking to Bonda. Fox Leader says, yes, I'm waiting for the update video on the short showing a massive build just on its side. Talking about this building right here. Brick Sergeant said, so Daryl, I have ordered the Queer Eye set yesterday and can't wait to add the parts to my Lego vault. To me, that was a great set. Is it still on sale? I know I had made a video announcing that a while back because that was like 50% off on Lego. Is it still 50% off? Because that was like the bargain of the century when they had that at that price. And this is going to have to come off for 1 second. That goes there. That goes there. And this one goes that way. There we go. Now that is back correct. We can put this back down. We have to put our little jumper tile right in there. And that one goes there. That goes there. Now we're cooking. At least it looks that way anyway. I'm going to bring the wall back up in just a second to kind of make sure I'm staying on point with my tile work. Oop. Mitch says it's 40% off near the Flatiron store, and they keep intentionally only having one out. That doesn't surprise me with Lego because they don't want you stocking up. Although I can say this, I do believe you're only allowed to buy, actually I'm wrong, on their website you can buy 2 at a time, but a lot of times they do limit it to 1 at a time. But this is not one of those sets. I think it's 2 at a time that you can buy. In Scott's Blocks, how are you, buddy? And 40% off is what Brick Sergeant was saying as well. So I thought I got it for 50% off, but that might have been a short time sale. And the Fidget Brick says it's looking great, Daryl. Very excited to see it. Also, any more thought on the Woolworth building? I found a picture on it from Lego Fest. I could send it to you if you want. Absolutely, feel free to send it. It's something I might try at some point. I already have a whole bunch of projects that I'm planning on doing, though. That's why I'm not too worried about any other really big projects right now. And this building has already ate more of my money than I wanted it to. So I'm kind of trying to hold out and get some stuff done before I buy any more or plan any more. But I can tell you one of the next buildings that I personally want to do really badly is I want to do my next big building anyway that I'm planning on doing is I wanted to do Wayne Towers. I think that would be a really freaking awesome build. And part of the reason I want to do that, and it's part of the reason I'm doing this, is it's superheroes. This is Marvel. Wayne Towers obviously is DC. And I wanted to get a lot of, because I already have the Avengers Tower in my city, and I'm trying to do a lot of superhero themed builds for my city. And that was part of the reason why, like the white and green, the white with the vegetation building that I just recently did. I call that Ivy Towers. And I called it that because I wanted it to be kind of like a bad guy place for Poison Ivy. So I'm trying to kind of keep with that particular theme in mind as I'm going along. And I am just checking for fitment. Making sure that I'm still doing it right. And it looks like I'm doing okay. Mitch says he still votes for Spook Central. I know you jotted down the address a while back when I mentioned it, and yes, I did. Fox Leader says, as soon as my second and Charles gets its Lego table up, I'm dropping $75 on parts. That would be a small order. As much as I hate to say it, to me, that is a small order. I wish my orders were smaller than that, but that's part of the problem with me liking to build so large like I do, is it costs a small fortune. I mean, it is expensive. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but it is expensive to build big. And I don't know if I like, you know what? I'm trying to figure out what the best location for this other table. Let's see if I'm looking in the windows. I honestly think it would look better left to right. So I think I'm going to put that I think that's where that's going to go. And pull this back out again now. Get it out of my way. Yes, my email is bevansbricks.com. Or I'm sorry, bevansbricks@yahoo.com. Wolf says, I'd love to see how you... I don't know that it would be Gothic architecture. The Wayne Tower that I was looking at was the one that was used in the... it would be the Batman versus Superman movie, which is an actual building that is in Chicago. It is a financial building, and I'm trying to remember the name of the building. That was what I was going to model my Wayne Tower after. So I don't think that's, I mean, it's, let's see if we look it up real quick. That is not what I wanted. Where is, let's see if I can find a picture. I can show you exactly what I was looking at trying to mimic. And I'm trying to remember what, and that is not what I wanted to do. And hopefully I don't get flagged for that. Here, this will give you guys an idea anyway. This is the Wayne Tower that I'm looking at. At least I think it's this one. That almost don't look like it either. This one right here is the one I'm wanting to do, but when I click it, it is a video, and I don't want to play a video. That's the building. There you go. This is actually, as you can see in the thumbnail or in the picture, it's Chicago architecture. I mean, I guess that could be Gothic, but that is what I'm wanting to model it after, is this right here. That is what I'm going to be using as my reference, and it's one of my favorite Marvel movies. Is part of the reason why or not Marvel, one of my favorite DC movies, and it's part of the reason I want to use that. Because I love DC and Marvel both. I know not everybody is in agreement with me on that, but I do love both enterprises, if you will. And something that maybe, or I still don't know if it's true or not, but Henry Cavill came out, which is the guy that played the most recent Superman. And apparently he's going to be reprising his role again. I know he did it at the ending of Black Adam. At least that was my understanding anyway. He just reprised his role as Black Adam, or reprised his role at the ending of Black Adam. And so I'm kind of excited to see him make a comeback, because he is by far my favorite Superman. Like I said, though, that is the building I'm going to model up for when I do it. Art Deco is what Mitch said, okay. That, to me, I can agree with that being Art Deco. But I guess, I mean, it's kind of Gothic looking, I guess. And I was really, okay, so Beetlejuice just agreed with it as well. And say, because he made it was an Instagram post, if I'm not mistaken. And he come out and officially announced that, yes, he is going to be coming back as Superman once again. And I think that's freaking awesome, because I thought to me anyway, he did a really good job as Superman. Other people might not agree, I don't know, but I personally liked him a lot in that role. Yes. I was aware of that as well. He did walk away because he was the main role for The Witcher TV show, like you said, and he just left that. And I forgot who it was they're trying to replace him with. But it's, to me anyway, it sounded like they had a pretty decent replacement for him on that show. And Steve is confirming that as well. Ooh, I am messing up. Hey, Zuji Zaga, I hope I said that correctly. How are you? And this was supposed to be where it jumped that way. Master Chief, there is our Beetlejuice. You were being summoned earlier. We were wondering if you were going to show up. It says, I can't stay long. Busy night tonight, but wanted to drop in and say, what's up? So what's up? How you doing, Master Chief? And thank you so much for stopping in. Liam Hemsworth, there you go. As I say, because when I first heard that name, I thought of, God, the guy that plays Thor. Chris Helmsworth. I think that's his name anyway. But at first when I read that, I thought, well, is that who they're having come on? But that's not the case. And, okay, that goes there. I'm starting to wonder if me doing this in small bricks was a mistake. Or small tiles, I mean. Because it's taking forever. So that would go there, that would go there. That can go there. And I'm going to have to fill this in just a little bit more. And I'm going to have to put the wall back up in just a second to confirm that I am going the right way. And so that'll go this way. I hope it looks like I'm making progress in the video anyway. I keep trying to glance up. The Brickable Cow, moo to you, my friend. And that'll go there. This will go here. Over here. That'll go there. That'll go there. And that looks like that's continuing, okay. So that means I gotta put this guy up in here. This should now fit in that spot, and so it'll be another sales table. And then we can start tiling back in here. And hopefully everybody can hear the music. I know it's probably not the best music, but I like to have some noise when I'm building. It helps me to relax a little anyway. Thank you, Fidget Bricks. He said he sent the picture. You got sick, Fox Leader? Is that what I'm reading? So I'm trying to keep up with all your guys' conversations anyway. Let's put another jumper. And that. Zujizaga says, hey, Bevins Bricks, thanks for saying hello. You're close enough to the pronunciation, and I've watched a lot of your older videos and really enjoyed them, as well as your new videos, and thank you so much. I appreciate that. Fidget Brick says you're welcome in regards to sending me the email, and Fox Leader says, got to go, food's here. And enjoy your food, my friend, and I hope you have a great night. Don't overeat, though. It makes the stomach sick. And that was sideways, so this one goes up and down. We are going to do that guy there. Now let me bring my wall back up just so I can make sure I'm in the ballpark. That'll go there. I hope that's right anyway. I'm very close to what I think I wanted. 1, 2. I just want to double check a few measurements. Yeah, I wish I could put on some Zeppelin or something, but that would definitely get me in trouble. Sadly. 1, 2. And you know what kills me about that? Two, is that right? 1, 2, 3. What kills me about that is simply this. TikTok, Instagram, and all those places you can use, mind you, it's just a clip, but you can use licensed music during your videos, but yet on YouTube you can't. And it always kind of amazed me. It's like, why is it that you can on YouTube, but you can everywhere else? To me, it doesn't make any sense, but that's my 2 cents anyway. And I'm hoping I'm doing this correctly, because then what I can do is come back and fill it in. You'll see what I mean here in just a second. Okay, I'm going to pull this back out of my way again now. So now I can fill this cavity in. Welcome to Euphoria. Yes, he's asking, this looks like another large mock. How are you going to make the floors fit in the building, especially at that strange angle? Very carefully. I already have it planned though. It's using wedge plates is the quickest and easiest explanation I can give you. But it is going to be a rather large building. Now let's fill this. Mega Dave, how are you? Uh-oh, nope, that's right. I thought I just messed up, but nope, we're good. So that'll go there, that'll go there. Alakazuma zippity boom zippity boppity boo. That can go there and there. That'll go there. This will go here. That, I think that's going to allow that. And I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to recheck and make sure that I am accurate. Actually, I'm going to stop right there because I might need to do something for the door. DJ, how are you? And let's get that there. Okay. Snap in. And that looks perfect. Let's pull these back out. How do I start with proportions? Basically, anytime I do a building, I just build the easiest way I can describe it is I will pick a floor, something that looks like it might be easy to mimic. And I will just start trying to mimic that floor as closely as possible. I will try a couple different methods. And when I say I'll try a couple different methods, I mean I'll try different things as far as the windows, and I just go off how it physically looks to me as I'm doing it. I don't have any explicit methods to give you or any specific measurements or nothing. I go with what looks good and works good for me. What I can tell you is typically like storefronts, and it depends. I mean, a lot of things depend on the design and the style of the building. This particular building, there's a lot of different ways you could go, but so I could keep the size of the building down, all the windows that I'm going with, if you were to look at the Flatiron Building, every floor has a ton of windows. And what I'm using is 2x2s. because I thought that made a good sized looking slide up and down window. Because if you were to go with, say, like a 3x4, it would just, it would make the floors just enormous, to the point that this building would probably be closer to 12 feet in height. So it's again, it's a lot of trial and error. It's playing around, figuring out, looking at, seeing what looks, works, and all that stuff best for your taste. I tend to build a little on the large side. I'm sure most people here will tell you that. And it's my methods of building, my size in buildings aren't necessarily for everybody, because my average building can be a couple $1,000s, I'll be perfectly honest. But I just really, really, really enjoy building big, so it doesn't bother me. And Richard Cranium, how are you? But yeah, Beetle just said it as well. It's a lot of trial and error. That is really the only way I can explain what I do, is it's just a whole lot of trial and error. But with this particular building, I started off, I think it was the 6th floor, looked like the easiest floor for me to kind of quickly mock up. So that was the floor I started with, and then once I was happy with my sizing of that floor and how it kind of flowed and worked out, that was when I moved on to start doing other things. And now I'm down, because I never start with the first floors. The first floors are usually, for lack of a better term, it's the bastard floor, because it's a one-of-a-kind floor. Where the rest of the floors in a building, typically you're going to be repeating yourself over and over again. The first floor is always of a unique floor, because the first floors are the entrance, so they're always different. Usually the first floor in every building is taller than the rest of the floors in the building as well. So how many pieces are in my grand hotel? I honestly don't know. I've never built that in studio or anything to even try and calculate out. I did use a ton of 1x1 bricks in that, though. Bonda says size does matter, and yes, it does. Brickblock, Illinois, how the heck are you? Steve Weiser says, I completed a small downtown core for Loganville. 9-volt track is reconnected and cleaned. It cleaned it all with the Neutrogena makeup remover wipes. They removed over 35 years of filth in the I would have never thought of makeup cleaners or a makeup wipe to try and clean the tracks. I always just used an eraser. But I will have to try that, Steve. Mike says that's weird. She said literally. Well, you know, I'm gonna stay out of that argument, Mike. That is one I am not gonna get involved in. I'm just gonna keep my peeps to myself. But you know, it's not a good thing when the missus is saying size matters. I'm just gonna say that. And that looks like a really good fill. I need to run one more row of white. And how that, let's see. It looks like if I went, let me just double check it. It's not visible on the outside. I guess it could kind of be visible on the outside. Boo, 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 boo. Do, 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 do. I almost feel like I may have to change that. We're going to leave that alone for now, though. What I'm going to work on is the center hallway now. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to do a different color tile. That's what she said, is what Michael says. She says all the time. DJ says, just saw a YouTube video about Legoland Germany. Apparently the pick-a-brick is sold by weight, and it's basically just about every current production part. Wish they offered that. They are supposed to do that, not at the at the online pick-a-brick. They're supposed to start doing that hopefully soon. They're trying to build a warehouse here in the United States. HSW Railway says he uses Gooby Gone to clean his track. Well, he says Goo Gone, but I think it's called, I've always called it Gooby Gone, but it's a clean tracks, and he says that works great. Mitch was saying, yes, DJ Duck Brick saw that too. The very small front of the building isn't even a door, it's a very tight curved window. Yes, this isn't the front of the building. This building actually carries on. This is just my main structure. What it physically is on the end of the building here, I'm trying to remember. At this point it's 6 feet in width, and it comes forward, I think it's 10 feet. And what they do is they use that as in most of the pictures I've seen anyway, it's like an art gallery display area, but this entire piece right here is nothing but glass windows, and it's only this small piece, and then the physical building starts here and then comes up. But this part right here is basically like a little glass gazebo, if you will, but I haven't got to that portion of the building yet. So this isn't how the door will be. The door I'm just putting there because I'm going to use that as the access point to this little glass area that's up here. Zugizaga 14 says, what would you say would be your favorite and least favorite thing I've ever built with Lego? My favorite thing that I've built has been my Avengers Tower. My least favorite thing would be the Friends schoolhouse I did. I think it looks like garbage. And after somebody else on YouTube basically copied the design and built it, that told me it was garbage. But I'm not a big fan of that, and I'm going to rip mine apart at some point. But I used, it was 5 Friends school sets and made one building out of it, and I think it looks terrible is my personal thoughts. Bonda says, I love all the windows, and thank you. This is me trying to mimic the building as much as possible. The first floor is all windows like this. As I get to the upper floors, the windows get much smaller though. And R. Claxton says, Legoland in Florida doesn't use cups. They weigh the parts $18 a pound. I almost think weighing it would be more beneficial, because when you find parts like this on the wall, you can't really get very many of these in a cup. Where if you could get a pound worth of these, I think that would be a much better bargain. I think weighing it, you'd be better off getting big parts, and the way it is with the cup, you're better off doing small parts. My personal opinion anyway. DJ says, I was wondering how the German Bricklink sellers had massive quantities of profile bricks. I know, I wish I could get that kind of quantity of profile bricks. And Kyle Knapp says, I look at what I need before I start doing a build Lego set myself, just to see if I'm missing anything. See, I would never build anything if I was to always look at what I have. What I do is I design something and then I order the parts. I don't know, because I have to watch that show, Anthony Perot. He was saying the boys have a hideout on the floor, on this floor, one of the floors of this building. And I've never seen that show. I've had a few people tell me about that though, and I'm going to have to look it up. I've had a lot of people tell me also, though, because I haven't seen Where Are the Boys, so I'm not really sure about that show. But I've had a lot of people tell me that, or try to tell me that they thought this was the same building used for, what's his name? He was the hired hitman. But anyway, it's not that building. But I will have to watch The Boys to see if this is the same building that's in that. And Macro Bricks, hey, how the heck are you? Says, looking good, Daryl. Love all your custom builds, and happy Friday, all of chat. And thank you so much for signing in, Macro Bricks. Hope you're having a great weekend, my friend. DJ says, oh yeah. Burps by the pound, absolutely. Michael was saying, make sure to hit that like button, and thank you so much. Richard Cranium saying hello to Macro. Bonda says, I'm excited to see it all lit up. This is going to be a big process to light it up. I will say that just from the get. And Scott was saying puff puff, or PPP to Macro Bricks. What the heck is that movie I'm thinking of? That's going to drive me nuts now. John Wick. There we go. I've had a lot of people say that, oh yeah, this is the building from John Wick, and this is not the building from John Wick. I mean, I've had a ton of people tell me that this is the building from John Wick. And like I said, it is not. John Wick's building is a 5-story building. And I'm going to use these. And the John Wick building is located in downtown Manhattan, where this is in the Flatiron district of New York City, this particular building here. And thank you. Michael said, check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and my website. I've actually been doing a lot of stuff on Instagram here lately, and part of it is just because I don't know why, but my posts have been doing very well on Instagram here lately. So I've been trying to do a lot of focus on that. Mitch says the official name drop for the Flatiron Building is the location of the boys' office, by the way. Okay. See, a lot of people also, though, and this is the only reason I bring that up, is there's a lot of Flatiron buildings throughout the world. Let me say that first. And Anthony Perot, yes, like I said, this is not the John Wick building. So you're absolutely correct to think that, and thank you for agreeing. But what I was going to say, though, is the term Flatiron building, really there's Flatiron, because there's a Flatiron building in Ontario, there's one here in Michigan, there's another one in Ohio. I mean, they're like all over the place. But the reason they call these buildings, this specific building actually, the Flatiron building, or any of them for that matter, it's because they're in the shape of a triangle. And most people, it's because it looks like back in the day when you would iron your clothes, you would use, it was an iron that you put on your stove to heat up, to iron your clothes with it. And that's all it was. It was just a triangle with a handle on it. And that is how the names, or the name of this particular building, or that's how this particular building got its name, because everybody said it looked like a flat iron. And do I want to do that? Okay, you're pulling away. Gonna lock you back down. And give me, you know what? I am just gonna go ahead and do it right like that, because I think that looks best anyway. And then now I can tile in. Let's see. Give me one memento, guys, because I'm trying to calculate out some tile work over here. Nope, we're going to put that here. Over here, I think that's going to work. This is the main entry hallway. Now I want to do some fill around that, I think. Let's see. Let me pull this off. That way you guys can kind of see what I got going. This piece just popped on me. There we go. Let's pull this back off. Set that down for a minute. Now, because this is the main corridor that'll go back and forth through, I'm going to put a false elevator shaft here. This is going to be a door to enter this store. Yes, the Funny Farm. Oh, you can't. It's kind of hard to see it. The Funny Farm sign, though, is right there. Throw on the wood-burning stove? Yes, that's exactly how you would do it. Macro says, no complaints here. Friday evening just got better, and that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Macro. Mitch was saying 1 Wall Street has a similar thin curve in the front building, but it has a door at the base. of that and steps leading in. That I will have to look at now. 1 Wall Street. That's not this, Wall Street's different from Times Square. I was going to say, because Times Square actually is a Flatiron Building as well. DJ says there's a Flatiron Building in Omaha. You guys are talking to each other, so I'm going to go back to building. What I'm thinking, Michael says he saw it in my Lego barn tour. Nope, once I hung it up there, I thought, you know what, that is the perfect place, and that is where it's going to stay. I have no intentions on ever taking that thing down. I like it right where it's at. And let's see, let's do that. Do I want to do it that way, or I guess that wouldn't be a bad deal. I am just trial and erroring. I'm not sure if I like it. Give me 1 second while I'm thinking in my head. Like I said, this is the phone store. This is just a corridor, an elevator, and this is going to be kind of like, I'm going to put furniture in that half is what I'm going to do. I've got to do this, and I got to tile that in too, though. DJ says, amazing that the front part is so stable you can move it around like that. All these walls are in. Honestly, they'll be more stable when I'm done, but all these walls are made that way. And in part, I just want to point that out, a lot of this stuff when you're building it like this, especially because I expect the finished height of this building to be between 5 and 6 feet tall. You're going to have a lot of weight on top of it, so you have to make it very, very rigid and strong. One of the things I can point out to you is that I'm hoping you can kind of see it. It's actually 2 layers thick, but it's not just that it's 2 layers thick. To get the texture that I want, I have brick with tile in between it. So I'm sure Macro can confirm this. It's like when you're working with lumber, when you start adding those layers make something incredibly strong. It's like building a beam in your house, because if you were to put a beam, say you wanted to rip down a bearing wall, you'd want to put up a bearing beam. And if you were to put in a beam to rip down a bearing wall, what you would end up doing is taking, say, for example, depending on the weight load, and I'm not going to get into specifics about everything, but let's say it would have a pretty hefty load, but it wasn't a long span, so we'll use 2x8s. And what you could do is you could take like 3 2x8s, and then you'd put 2 pieces of plywood in between the 2x8s, you glue it all together, and it gives you just one heck of an insanely rigid support beam. And you can make it thicker or narrower, or it all depends on weight loads and calculations and all that kind of stuff, depending on the thickness of the lumber, the thickness of the plywood, and all that stuff. But that is the whole premise, even just with plywood as a whole, is you make the plywood, the wood, strong by adding those layers. And then not only do you have all that going on, but then you have the snot pieces, because all these tiles are snot on the front of it. So you have snot bricks going this way, then you have tiles coming in this way on a flat plane, and then you got more tiles coming on the front on another flat plane. So by you adding all these different directions of plates and tiles and bricks into all these different columns, you make it unbelievably strong. And then to add to that, as you can see, because this wall has to float, once again I want to point that out because it's an odd shaped wall, and I'm just going to have it resting on top of the tile work. What I've done is I've got a row of plates on the bottom, and then I have 2 rows of plates on the top. The only reason I went with 1 row of plates on the bottom is because I don't want to have a big step or anything where I have to get into the building, so I had to minimize the amount of plates I used on the bottom. But that is how you make this nice and thick. Is just it's lots and lots. It's like Shrek would say. It's like an onion. It's lots of layers. But that is how, anytime you want to build something and you want it to be strong, just think about layers. Think about the way that you can layer things together. It's part of the reason why even what I'm building on, which is a mill's plate, is so strong, because not only do you have your base plate, then you have your brick row, and then you're putting plates on top of that. And of course, you're not finished, because now you're going to tile on top of that. So you have 3 layers of plates, essentially, with a sandwich of bricks on the inside. And that is what makes everything so strong. Master Chief says, less talking, more building. Anyway. Well, how long? Oh, I've actually been on long anyway. Mitch says, hey, this is good info. Let the man talk. Something else, just to kind of, because it is starting to get later than what I normally do, I want to share with you something else real quick. But I buy and use, I'm trying to find where they're at. And this is something else, just to give people ideas. Because there's so many different things that you can do to make a build strong. Here's another thing you can do. And now, mind you, just to show you, I do use 4x4 plates for my mills plates. But there's another method you can go with that is actually probably even stronger than what I do. And it's actually very cheap, because nobody, and it's funny how a lot of things, as far as when you're buying parts, people don't actually want them until they learn a little bit more about them. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of parts that people don't want just because they generally can't figure out a use for them or whatever, but there's a lot of things you can do with a lot of those unwanted parts because they're so cheap. This being one of those parts. And here's what I mean by that. You could actually use this as the sandwich of your mills plate, because again, talking about layers and sizes and shapes, because now you have a brick, you have this round edge. It's just like auto body in a car. The more bends you put in that piece of metal, the stronger it's going to be. Same purpose with Lego. You have this round area, you have this round area, you have this thick piece. So if you were to use this and then use 8x8 plates, oh my God, you would not believe. Don't get me wrong, the plate that I'm using is very strong, but if you built a mills plate using those with 8x8 plates, it's even stronger than what I'm using. It's crazy strong. And these are cheap. These are extremely cheap. That's a good point, Anthony. He says this kind of reminds him of the structure of bamboo with the intermediate horizontal rings. That's why bamboo is used for scaffolding in Asia. Bamboo is unbelievably strong. It's a great strength to it. Our Claxton says, let the man talk. He's a grown man. DJ says, shh, Paul Rod, I enjoy the explanation. And, oh, that was the other thing I was going to show you. To get, if I can find the part anyway, they should be, nope, it's one more, they're there. This is how, and again, this is another part, trying to find, there we go. This is another part that nobody wants. It's actually 2 parts that nobody wants. These are the 1x2x4 and then the 4x4x4, if you will. And this is a part that nobody wants. But again, talking about layers and shapes and all that, this, because everybody loves my Avengers Tower, and it's just sticking straight out, and then I have a Quinjet on it. There's no flex, there's no drop. It's supporting a plane on that huge long platform on my Avengers Tower. This is how I supported that Avenger Tower platform. You put these on the inside of that, and then you layer plates on top of that. And oh my God, man, because of all these angles and then these shapes here, and then you do that with the plates inside of it, it's just, it is unreal how strong you can make something. And just to show you, yes, you can put bricks right on top of it. So you put that on a plate, you put some plates over top of it, and but this is a part that you can typically pick up all day long for 2 or 3 cents a piece. Same thing with this guy. These are pretty cheap because nobody wants them. But if you're wanting to build crazy, goofy looking buildings and do really goofy shapes and have very strong buildings, these are the kind of goofy parts you have to buy. So I hope that's kind of the lesson for today's build on how to do strong builds. I know people are always wanting to learn things and do things, and I like to try and reward those that actually, yes, it's exactly how it is, DJ. It's like an I-beam. Same function with the railroad track that I did a video on not that long ago on my Instagram, showing the strength of my Jason Vincent building. That building is so strong because I'm using the railroad track, and it's exactly like everything I just showed you. It's just like an I-beam because of all those angles in all a little compact space. It gives you really good structural integrity. I mean, unbelievably good in structural integrity. And Kenneth Swan says those are great for spaceship building. Yes, they are good for spaceship building. But honestly, because I really haven't done any spaceships in a very long time, but I use them more as supports than I do for anything. But anyway, though, I have been streaming for quite a while, guys, and I like to end my stream with rolling that beautiful bean footage because I've been trying to minimize my streams to an hour. But before I go, I want to thank all the people that have supported the stream. So I want to give a very special thank you to Brett Tucker, Brick Sargent, R. Claxton, and Master Chief, and our member, R. Claxton, which everybody that donated is a member. But thank you guys, all of you. You guys are all freaking awesome. I really do appreciate it. And again, one more time, that was Master Chief, R. Claxton, Brick Sargent, and Brett Tucker. Again, I could not do what I do without all the support of all you awesome guys out there. And hopefully I will have another video up over the weekend, but for now I have to get off of here because I have to run in the house and talk to the missus. So as always, thank you for coming to the Bevan's Bricks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share below, and hopefully we'll see you guys on